How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and part 2 of me modifying my cooling system. So as I was editing that last video, I really wasn't happy with those lower radiator mounts that I did because it was too close to the what do you call it, lower mount itself, and the radiator was touching. So I immediately, after posting that online, I nipped down and I've just fixed those up. So just re-welded them, well, extended out the brackets, adjusted the angle, re-welded those back on, and got the isolators actually sitting in there properly now, so that's actually nice and snug, and it's actually level and at the right height. So there's been a little bit more progress on this. I made up some spuds and got Willie to weld them onto the intercooler, and then tabs on the radiator, and some tabs up the top as well to the upper intercooler mounts. So that's where the intercooler will sit now, and I'm going to want to run intercooler piping probably there, and same on this side to the throttle body right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this straight up here and up there, and I'm going to put a plate against there in line with the chassis rail, and hopefully that'll hold all my headlights and everything in place, and then I'll be able to cut out all of that. So that'll all be open. But yeah, just need to sort out the plating first so that the headlight doesn't start to sag. I do have Willie's car here, so I can measure it to make sure that it hasn't sagged yet. That's a better look at the intercooler to radiator mounts now that it's off the car. So this is the front end now. I just shaped up a bit of metal, cut this back because this normally came out like that. Just cut a wedge out of it and bent it back, and got a stand there, same on that side. It's just tacked in at the moment because I want to put the headlights back in and just make sure the height's correct, and then I'll just have to do something going from there to there, or I might leave that and I might just have, and I've got a crash bar, have the crash bar hold that nose cone up. But that is going to allow me to run my intercooler piping down through there now, and through there, and I'm going to run the intake down in here, something like that. Well, I guess it's time for somewhat of an update. I've been pretty poor at filming what I'm doing because, frankly, I've got a hell of a timeline to try and get this done. So I've made the upper radiator support mount, and I'm not going to try and touch it. Remember, they're hot. Just welded on these tabs here with the rubber isolators, so that's pretty well mounted, but also allows some flex, and it's isolated from all the metal because it's rubber mounts down the bottom too, and everything is now sitting in its home. So you'll notice the big sag in the nose cone. So the next thing is going to make up some brackets, welding mask, to come from there to there, and maybe there to there, just to hold this nose cone in the correct spot. And then from there I can start to mount my bash bar, which I've bent up. So just got to get this in the right height so that I can get that in the right height, and trim the ends because it's a bit long. So for mounting the nose cone, I've got a little bracket that I just bent up and welded on there with the OEM nut. That's what's holding that pretty solid there. So it's sort of in place now. It's still a bit floppy. So there's factory mounts there. I've just made up brackets for each side. That's gonna, we'll see when it's done, I guess, but weld onto there, and I'll weld a couple of nuts on the back of that, and you can bolt the nose cone to those, and that's going to hold that hopefully nice and steady, because I have seen a few pictures of this thing going down the main straight over 200 k's an hour, and this guy here is like lifting up with all the wind. So hopefully that'll keep it a bit more in check. So that is the side braces now. Choose focus. Welded on and bolted on, and the nose cone is very sturdy, so that's great. And I've just drilled a hole and mounted the factory thing for holding up the headlight there. So now I have the headlight up. Let's repeat the process on the other side. And another one of my one-day projects is I'll cut this plastic in half and I'll rejoin it so that I've actually got a complete plastic sort of fascia around the outside of those lights. Just starting to suss out the intercooler piping now, so trim the edges off the intercooler so that the 90 can go straight on there, and I'll probably trim it back there and shove the clamp there, and I might still be inside. Trimmed up the turbo as well so that we can fit a 90 down there. It's going to have a real small, we'll have a clamp there, just a real small mid pipe, so it's got a bit of flex movement in there. And just taking off the intake manifold, Willie's just taking that inside. I'm going to take the old throttle off and see about mounting the new Bosch e-throttle so that we can work out the intercooler piping for the side, which will be much the same. 90 straight off there, and maybe a wee kink, and then up to the throttle body, hopefully with 2 clamps as well. Starting to look good now. So got those welded, well, tacked to the intercooler with the whatever those clamps are, whatever you want to call them, Wigglington style clamps, tacked on there. The e-throttle now is on there with that tacked on, so we're going to put a bit of pipe between there, but I forgot to order a 3 to 3.5 inch reducer, and so just taking a break, going to do the hot side now because I remembered the 3 to 2.5, so it's going to be there with the clamp and then there with the clamp, so it'll be a really short intermediate pipe, but at least it allows some movement. So just cleaning up the 90 to tack onto there, and then we'll work out that mid pipe. At least one side will be done. Plus the other bonus, you get to see whole set and Scania from the front of the engine, and not a big stupid pipe going up like there like before. It's going to look really quite cool, and I'm going to cut that off too because I don't need that. Right, I'm going to end the video out now, but one little thing that did just turn up. Big box of link parts. So that's the ECU I've gone with for this car. So I've got a Fury X, and I've got some, what are they, IGN 1 coils, whatever, and a few sensors and things, and an additional loom, because I used to run an early G4 Storm which only ran an A loom, so now I need an A and a B. So I've got to go over the wiring diagrams and see what needs to be repinned on my old loom into that, or vice versa, plus run the wires for the e-throttle, fuel pressure sensor, O2 sensor, and I feel there was something else I was adding. Oh, and new coils, because I've got 6 coils now rather than running waste spark. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. Get into some more fabrication in the next video, plus obviously some wiring somewhere in the middle. But yeah, some progress, still a long way to go, but yeah, I hope you're enjoying it, and I'll see you in the next one.